What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are going to be talking about this Sunday that's coming up, which is, it should be anyways, the second fighter announcement for ESports Boxing Club. As we saw a couple of Sundays ago, the first episode of the fighter announcement was insane. Huge fighters. I'll put the list up on the screen here. As you can see, we all know the list. Terence Crawford, Caleb Plant, Butterbean, Roy Jones Jr., Alexander Usyk, tons of great fighters. And I generally feel like that this one is going to be even better. I think episode 2 is going to be even better, even bigger names. And although some of these fighters that I'm putting here do make sense to be in the game, some of them are through pure optimism. So I don't think it's that I genuinely believe all these fighters are achievable, even though I do. But a lot of these are through optimism of I more hope they're in the game than I actually kind of believe they are. I'm going to save, my opinion, the biggest and the one that I would lose my mind over till last. I've kind of got like 10 in like the top section of like top fighters that I think would be like, oh my god. And then I've got a list of great fighters as well. I didn't think I'd actually be able to get 26 names because I think there was 26 announced a couple of Sundays ago. I think I've got 26 or 27 here. So I'm not going to go into in depth with every single fighter. We're just going to go through them quickly. Just records and the names, screenshot up on screen, and that'll be job done. So I have tried to go with male, female, from every country, not just England, not just US, I've tried to go from everywhere. Fighters that I enjoy, fighters that are popular right now, fighters that are kind of up and coming, fighters that have recently tasted defeat for the first time, fighters that are retired but were world champions, fighters that are active champions, fighters that are active former champions. So I've tried to kind of keep the list a bit diversified instead of just the top 5 pound for pound, because that just gets a bit boring. I see a lot of people doing that when they just list the top 5 pound for pound. We're going to start with Katherine Thunders, the 13-1. The only person she has lost to is Terry Harper, who is also in the game. So for me, this one made sense. And the one that kind of links to this one is Rachel Ball. Also kind of makes sense. She's 7-1. I believe she was supposed to be fighting Shannon Courtney for a world title, I think. She recently beat Shannon Courtney, who is also in the game. Well, no, she didn't recently beat her. She beat her before, who is also in the game. And her only loss is to Katherine Thunders. So to me, those two just kind of worked hand in hand and made sense. Then we go on to Zachary Zhang. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. 22-0. This man is a beast. I feel like he's not getting the credit he deserves. Some of his competition hasn't been top tier, but who's has at the start of their career? But in my opinion, when I watch him fight, boy, is it interesting. 22-0. I think he could generally give some of the top 15 a real issue in that division, in all honesty. Then we move on to some more better well-known names like Daniel Dynamite Dubois, 15-1, recently tasting defeat for the first time to Joe Joyce. In my opinion, a great fighter, but the fight before the Joe Joyce fight, he did look a little bit lackluster, so I wasn't surprised to see him lose to Joyce. But hopefully he comes back, and he comes back strong, and hopefully we see him in this game, because I think he would be a super fun fighter to play as. And then the 13-5, almost a legend in my opinion, Marcus Maidana. The man who, I think he fought Floyd Mayweather twice and lost both times, and he beat Adrian Broner, which was fantastic to watch. I was going to add Adrian Broner to this list, but I just like him so much, I don't even want to have him on the list. I don't think they would even want him in the game, because just how he acts in general is just not a good dude. But Marcus Maidana would be a good one. Then we go to the next one, which is another Floyd Mayweather victim, and that is Andre Berto at 32-5. Just a fight that I would like to see in general. Nothing that I have to say like, oh my god, I think he's mind blown. Just a fight that I would genuinely enjoy to see. Then we go on to an active champion who recently won his title from McDonald's to the cruiserweight champion of the world, Lawrence Okalai. I butchered the last name. I do apologise. At 16-0, this man is a world champion. He is a long, rangy pain in the arse at the cruiserweight division, and he would be not only a pain to fight, he would be a pleasure to play as, and he would be really good in this game. He would offer a real unique twist to the cruiserweight and heavyweight division for the game base anyways. And I think I could see him generally going on in the future to being a 30-0, 31-0 unified world champion. And then, how could I do this list without mentioning this heavyweight? Derek War Chisora. This man loves to fight at 32-10. He doesn't care about records. He doesn't care about wins or losses. This man comes to fight. This man comes for war. And he would be a heavy-hitting bastard to have in this game. I think that would be a sick one. Like, when you think about it, that would be a really sick one to have in the game. And speaking of heavyweights that hit bloody hard, Shannon the Cannon Briggs. Although he has been retired a while and he is 60-6 with 1 draw, I think he would be a fantastic fantastic for the division in the game. I can't imagine that he is someone that would be difficult to get hands on, maybe to get in contact with, but Logan Paul got him, so surely it wouldn't be too difficult. But I would like to see him in the game, man. Dude hits harder. I think he only won 8 fights by decision. I think 52 or 53 or something stupid were by KO. But that would be awesome. Then we drop down a few weight classes for the next 2 fighters, which is Mikey Garcia or Mickey Garcia, however you prefer to say it, at 40-1. I mean, this dude's a beast. I think his only losses to Errol Spence Jr. I think. Don't quote me on it. I think. I think he would be relatively difficult to get, but another fight that I would love to see. And then the dad of a son that is in the game, that is Shane Mosley Sr. Shane Mosley Jr. is in the game, but Shane Mosley Sr. I don't believe is. So he'd be a really good feature to see on the game, in all honesty. I think, having father and son in the game, same as the Conor Benns, I think that would be a really, really sick feature. And then we've got the final 4. I know you guys are going to love the final one for this section here. We've got 55-8. I forgot to mention Shane Mosley's record is 49-10-1. I've been trying to say people's records, but I completely forgot about Shane Mosley Sr. But yeah, 49-10-1 in his record. And then we go on to the 55-8. Bernard Hopkins, or Bernard Hopkins, however you prefer to say it, however his first name is actually pronounced, I don't have a clue. Tons of people are fans of him, as simple as that. People are fans of him, people love him, people loved him back then, people love him now. The dude's a legend. It would be a shame to not see him in the game. And then we go all the way down to pro debuts recently made, and that is Campbell Hatton. Had his pro debut on the white Pavotkin card. He looked good. He did gas himself a little bit going into the 3rd and 4th. He was a bit tired, but the dude comes to brawl. He's young. He hasn't got his grown man strength yet, but he's getting there. He's going to learn. He's got a lot to learn, a lot to improve on. But all in all, a great fight, and I look forward to seeing him in real life, and I look forward to hopefully seeing him in the game at some point. We stay on the fight card, and that is Dillian Whyte at 28-2. It'd be a shame to have Pavotkin in a game and not have Dillian Whyte. This man's the body snatcher, and I think he would be a really awesome feature. And I could generally just see it happen. From the UK, a humble dude, a tough hitter, a good heavyweight. He seems to be getting better every single fight, and he's someone who I'd love to see. And one I'm going to slip in really quick, a small feature. Speaking of Dillian Whyte, is one of his guys that he's got signed, and that is from my hometown, who we saw on the white card, that was a bit of a lackluster performance, but still, and that is Fabio Wardley. I'd like to see him in the game as well. He'd offer an interesting twist to the heavyweight division, given his speed and low dropping hands. That'd be someone I'd like to see as well. But the final one for this little list, and then we're going to go on to the bigger names, in my opinion, and that is a lot of people's favourite. People have been asking for him, and I genuinely think he will be in the game. I think he will be announced. And that is, I'm going to butcher his last name. I think you guys already know. Australian born, I'm pretty sure. And that is Tim Tessaju. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm shit at names. I apologise. 18-0. This dude is a beast. He is a king. He is feared. The fans love him. The fighters love him. Well, the fighters almost look like they fear him at this point. And, people want him in this game so desperately. I see people asking for it all the time. And I could definitely see him being announced 100%. And then we move on to the bigger names. Obviously, we are going to announce my favourite fighter at the end, which you guys already know who it is, but I'm not going to say it just yet. And these are some big names yet again. We tried to mix it up with male, female legends, things like that. First one is Naya Inoue, 20-0. I mean, the monster. What is there more to say? I could just say his name and be done with it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He would be epic to players with the new footwork system, with the way the game flows. He'd be so sick to have in that division, and nothing more. I love him as a fighter. I'm a big fan, and I want to see him in the game. As I said before, a lot of these are based on optimism. A lot of these are based on who I genuinely think will be in the game, but this one is more based on optimism. This next one, that is Teofimo Lopez, 16-0. Dominated Lomachenko. People seem to think Lomachenko won, which is mind-blowing to me. I literally have the stats saved. The only rounds that Lopez got outstruck were the 9th, 10th, and 11th, I think, and that was it. So best case scenario, it was 9-3 to Teofimo Lopez. But he'd be awesome to have in the game. Is it likely? Probably not. Is it impossible? Definitely not, because the guys at ESports Box Club and Still Sit Interactive have blown us away each and every time they've revealed something new. So it's very well possible. And now, speaking of champions and unified champions, the next two are just, well, fucking legends in their own right. Clarissa Shields, 11-0, and Katie Taylor. These guys I mean, 11-0, Clarissa Shields is already, I'm pretty sure, a unified world champion. Katie Taylor's got more belts than she does in anything else. Both of these women are insane. And Katie Taylor, definitely more possible in my opinion than Clarissa Shields, but neither of them are impossible. And I would love to see Katie Taylor in the game. I think she deserves the respect. And I think putting more females in the game attracts more eyes to the real female boxing, because then, you know, it helps everyone out. If they're in the game, people are going to play as them more, they're going to get more eyes on them. The female boxing might get more attention, because the male boxing obviously does get more attention. But let's hope that definitely Katie Taylor's in it, and Clarissa Shields would be an awesome one as well. And then we go on to legends, and that is Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. How could you not love this man at 62-7 with 2 draws? This man's a legend every which way, whether it's outside the ring or inside the ring. He is a legend. He is a Hall of Famer in life, not just in the ring. I'd love to see him in, especially with his advanced speed. He is insane. Footwork, hand speed, everything about him is light and fast. And I'd definitely love to see him in there. I definitely see it possible as well. I don't think it's impossible at all. I think Pacquiao would be generally up for it. I don't know Pacquiao at all, but I could see it happening. And then we go on to possibly last week's top fighter, the biggest rival, the fight everyone wants to see. So Crawford was last week. This time, that is Errol Spence Jr. at 27-0. The biggest threat, in my opinion, to Terence Crawford. Do I think he'll beat Crawford? Absolutely not. A lot of people do, which I understand. But Errol Spence Jr., I could definitely see him being in this game. He would be a huge announcement, probably one of the top announcements, if there wasn't all these other guys in the list. By the way, this is in no particular order, so I don't think that I'm rating them in the particular order. I'm not, it's just the order I wrote them down in. Speaking of undefeated fighters, we've got quite a few coming up. We've got Javonte Davis. Maybe, not recently. He's been in trouble for hit and runs. So, a 24-0, hit and runs, as we know from fighters' past experiences, never goes well. So, I don't see him being in the game for that reason. Had he not been getting in trouble with the law, I'd very well see it possible. But who knows how that will go down, because he could serve up to 7 years in prison. So, I don't think if you come out of something like that, you're never the same, you never fight the same, you never fight at world level again. He may very well have ruined his career, who knows. But Davis, one of my favourite fighters. Shame to see what he's been doing, but hopefully we see him in the ring at some point, and hopefully we see him in ESports Boxing Club. And I know you old school boxing fans are going to like these next two. We have got 41-2 with 1 draw. Have you guessed it yet? Lennox Lewis. I see it happening. I see it. I sense it. I sense it. Something in me says Lennox Lewis is going to be in this game. Something inside, I don't know what it is, but something's whispering to me that Lennox Lewis is going to be in this game. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. It might not be announced this time, but I promise you Lennox Lewis will be in this game. I sense it. I don't know why. I just do. I just have a feeling. And then speaking of legends, but we're going to go for undefeated legend this time. 46-0. Have you guessed it? Southpaw. One of the only men, or one of the only 6 men, I think, to defeat Roy Jones Jr. Joe Calzaghe. How could you not have this man in the game? Obviously, it's not as simple as just drawing him in the game and job done. But that would be fucking awesome. The old-time sports fans would love these two, especially Joe. These old-school fans would fucking go mental to be able to play as a modern-day Calzaghe, moving the way he moves, same as Lennox Lewis, throwing the shots he throws, moving the way he moves, the speed that he had, the speed that he has, whatever it may be. Those two, I know, would be a huge fan favourite, and a lot of people, like Fanatico, would probably lose their marbles if Joe Calzaghe or Lennox Lewis got announced. I know I most certainly would. And then we've got 2 more before we go on to the biggest name and what I will think be the biggest announcement, and that is 25-0 Devin Haney. I mean, it's most likely going to happen. Haney seems like he is pretty much up for that. Seems like he's happy to get his name out any which way, win fights any which way. The dude doesn't fear nothing. The dude just doesn't seem like he loses. I mean, at 25-0, he's a freak at the end of the day. As simple as that. He is a freak, and he's only getting better. And I definitely see him in the game, to be honest. He's one of the superstars that I do see in the game. And then next up, one of my favourite fighters of the modern era, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. 41-1 with 1 draw. The only man that has beat him is Canelo Alvarez. I would love this. I would love this. Triple G would be fucking awesome to have in this game. It would be so good to be able to see them shots that he throws, how he throws his kind of hooks as an overhand in a sense. He would be awesome. He'd be such a good feature to that middleweight division. And then, you guys guessed it, at number 1, I think the biggest announcement, I think it will happen, 55-1 with 2 draws. The man looks unbeatable. Next to fight Billy Joe Saunders and wipe the floor with him, to retire, never losing again. He's going to be triple the unified champion. This man is unbeatable right now. The head movement is so slick. The hands are so slick. The hands are so powerful. The footwork is so slick. Saul Canelo Alvarez. This man is hands down my favourite fighter. Maybe ever. Other than maybe Floyd. But I don't know. I think I actually prefer Canelo. Both great fights. Anyways. If this happens, I will go mental. I see it happening. I can see it happen. I can see it being the big announcement. Maybe not this week. Maybe on the final show fighter announcement, whenever that may be. If this is the final one, I see it happening. Maybe if they only do 3, the final one to be announced before the game is released, the biggest now, I guarantee you, will be Canelo. But that's pretty much going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all these names that I gave. Obviously, it has taken quite a while to put together, edit, write down, everything like that. So don't forget to leave a like on it. Subscribe down below for more. Let me know who you'd want to see in the game out of this list. Or let me know if I missed anyone that you guys also want to see. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.